And I went up to him one day. I went up to Daddy. He just gave me advice and was always on my side. And back in 1948, I believe, he and my granddaddy bought a little old mill for $250, and they built that one and they ran it, and I think it burned down, and they built another one just like it, and it burned, and then they moved locations, and they ran that little old mill there till 1967. That's when he bought the big pine mill over in Roxy. And they bought that and sawmill there in 1967, and sawmill there for a year. And after that year, that mill burned. It was made out of wood timbers and wood. It wasn't concrete and steel like this one. But he wanted to build a new mill, and he did. And he built a new mill where the old mill was, but he built it out of concrete and steel, and it's still standing today. But he sawmilled there till I think the fall of 1979, and ended up selling it out and retiring and going to the farm and doing what he really wanted to do. In 1989, I had this bright idea. I said, man, I want another sawmill. And I went up to him one day. I went up to Daddy. I said, Daddy, I want to build me another sawmill. I said, see this old cow barn up here? I want you to clear me out about 2 acres behind this barn where I can put this little old mill, and I just wanted a weekend project. And so he brought his dozer up here one day. I think I may have been working somewhere, and he brought his dozer up here one day, and he cleared off about 5 acres out here. And I drove up out here that day, and I looked out across there and said, Daddy, what have you done? I said, I don't need that much land. He said, oh boy, you may need it. And so he had an old junk pile of scrap parts and things, you know, that he had brought back from Roxy, and it's just in the junk with scrap iron. But I would go up there and I'd dig out a piece here and dig out a piece there, and I'd put it in his shop down at the farm, and I'd work on it and tinker with it. There was an old Detroit engine there. The mills used to run by diesel engines. That old diesel engine hadn't been run, 20 years, maybe 30 years, I don't know. But anyway, I brought it down to the barn there, the shop, and I put a battery on it. I changed the fuel filters in, changed the oil on it. I said, man, if this thing cranks, and we'll be good to go. I cranked that old engine. I drove up to this old place right here, and there was nothing here but that cow barn, with a pick and a shovel, and started digging these footings under this track by myself. Poured a little concrete in them, and here comes Daddy again. You know, he helps me through and helps me with a little more money. I get it up along a little ways, and I hire me a welder. I said, I'm on top of the world there. And he helped me build this mill. It took us a year. Started in October of '89, and we cut our first log in October of '90. We just was blessed and able to be able to buy logs, and we didn't need many there because we wasn't cutting a lot. You know, we just cutting a little bit. I started out cutting mat timbers, and what got me in the mat business, I have no idea. But we just started cutting those mat timbers for a couple of mat companies down in Louisiana. Eventually, I had an old guy named Huey Gallman. He came up here, and one day drove up in an old red Camaro. And Huey had actually been working for another mat company that I was selling timbers to. He said, I can teach you how to build those mats. So I said, okay, well, come on. And I'd been building pallets, and pallets didn't work out so good for us, so we got rid of all that pallet equipment and started building mats, and scraped up a few customers there. And this was about, I'm gonna say about in '95 here. We'd been sawmilling for about 5 years, I guess, and about '95 is when we started building the mats. So, so we just started at about that time, and it's just grown from there. You know, it's just been a blessing. God has been good to us.
So I know Mark's been in the business for a long time. He understands things through and through. He can build something. He knows how to work a product, or if I have an idea about how we're doing something, how to make it more efficient, that's what he does, and he's really talented at that. And he's got a special skill set that it's hard to identify and even talk about. And his passion for that is manufacturing and people. And through the years, he's grown and really developed a pretty sizable operation here that we manufacture out of. It started with 5 people and has grown to, I believe we have 85 people over there today. We're producing large volumes of mats every week, and in that process started the market shift of where we are today. We kind of got forced into the model where we are. It wasn't something we just came up with and chose. It was something that Mark had been successful for many years. I met Mark around 10 years ago and married his daughter, and in doing so I've grown to know them, the family, and knew that he was successful, but never really knew any of his backstory. And I'd come out here on Saturdays occasionally when I was staying down here meeting my wife and see what he had going on, and was interested in his business. And he's not one to talk much about himself or what he has, but I know that through what he does have, that he had a successful business. I try to rewind back a little bit to my start with Mark. And so I'm at the mill, and I'm trying to figure out how we can increase productivity. And I'm a sales-minded guy. I don't do manufacturing. That's not really my deal. I love challenges because I'm a competitor. I hate to lose. There's nothing that I hate more than losing. And the thing I say to my teammates and people that work with us are, we don't lose, we learn. And that's a big part of kind of how we've progressed forward, because we've identified so many markets that we need to have that direct customer relationship and also be able to touch each aspect of our business. So if it's manufacturing to a sales division, that we're having immediate responses to people. And I found that the customers that I have today really rely on that, because I can turn around and answer something immediately, and I don't have to go down a chain of command that gets back to them in 3 days. By having the mill all the way to the finished laying product is something that we hold firm to, because we understand, from that log showing up to handling it to cutting it and talking to production, talking to how the processes look on par levels and that sort of thing. And in doing so, we have the ability to have that start of our trucking company. Mark and I talked one day at his sawmill on a whiteboard, and he asked me if I wanted a trucking company. And I said, no, I really don't, but we need one. And I saw a need for diversification. And in diversification came transportation and logistics. And we recently restructured our mat division to where we're going to be laying mats and also providing some other right-of-way services. And through that, it's been very, I guess you could say, rewarding to me to see something come to light. And in putting together our brand and our logo, many years ago, has started kind of the foundational truths that we're on today. And through the shield here, being the crest for the family business, and that's kind of where things started. And the faith is a big part of where we are today. We've been blessed, through that. Mark's lost everything before, and today it's crazy. Sitting here walking through this, I hope to give back to our employees, and I firmly believe through the foundational truths that I have is the reason we're here today. I think the legacy of Empire would be that we've changed lives, and that we've touched customers and really given them a relationship through our business.